obvious passing situation.
2nd and 4 for Clifford. He'll pass it. Lost it. Loose ball. Bucks have it. Tuimoloau with another big-time play. Can Stroud pay it off? Deep drop. Sets. Over the middle. Caught. Stover. Breaks the tackle. Still on the move. Cade Stover. Touchdown. World famous.
One rock unturned.
First down to 10 of the 19. Intercepted. Wow. Tuimoloau again. Unbelievable. JT Tuimoloau has had the game of his life. He deflected a pass that led to an interception. He intercepted a pass. He got a sack. He got a strip sack. And now a pick six. What a game.
Honey, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Again? Just where are you going?
Where are you going? You're not going to the bar again, are you?
You like hanging out, drinking beer at the bar, talking sports? Come on out and join us weekly. Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, your podcast for just that. Hanging out, drinking some beer, talking sports.
Have fun with the guys at the bar talking sports, Dad.
Do you want to help support the show? Well, we're doing it for beer. So go ahead and buy us a beer. You can do that through Venmo at Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, and we'll look forward to drinking that beer on you. For those of you following the amazing 3-year-old extraordinaire football predictor, the famous Landon, here's his picks for the week.
KC, Alabama, Notre Dame, Kansas State.
And for those that who did not catch that, the famous Landon chose Tennessee over Georgia. Of course, he is a Tennessee fan. Alabama over LSU, Notre Dame over Clemson, Kansas State over Texas. He was 3 out of 2 for the picks last week, so you might want to listen to this kid. Enjoy the show. What's up, y'all? It is your boy Hanger here from Guys of the Bar Talking Sports. Thank you for joining us for another show looking at all the stuff that's going on in the crazy world of college football. We might even talk some NFL today.
Do it.
Allowing it. I might allow it.
Do it. Great Halloween game.
I've been apprehensive about NFL for so long. Not apprehensive, I just didn't want to talk about it because I like college football better than NFL football.
Of course.
You know? Today, I've been opening up the show with a little bit of play-by-play or, different songs and stuff like that from different teams. Well, I'm about tired of hearing Rocky talk. So I wasn't about to put the fourth quarter song for Tennessee against Georgia's fourth quarter song. I didn't want to hear Rocky talk at all this week, even though we might be, you never know. But not on our show. We're not on our show. So I threw in some crazy defensive stuff going on with JT.
Tuimoloau.
Tuimoloau.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, so for all y'all Ohio State fans that really enjoyed that game, I mean, that minute of play is what really sent the game into Ohio State's favor. I think it was 23-20 at the time. Ohio State was winning, and then he got I forget, it was either a pick, no, he got a sack and then a pick six or something like that, and just threw that game into their favor at that point, So I wanted to lead with that. That's good stuff. But the big news, let's do introductions. There we go. We got to do introductions before we get into the big news of the week.
The introduction.
That's the big news. So we just got the Rooster. The Rooster's back.
It's been a little while.
Hold on. He just walked to the door. I didn't even know he was coming. How's it going, man? Scoot on in so you can get on the microphone.
It's been going good. Just doing some traveling here lately, but back at it.
Well, I'm glad you can join us.
He's got to come defend Syracuse's honor.
They're not doing a good job doing it on the field.
They are not looking. I don't know. 2 weeks in a row they lose, right? So I'm sure Mama Rooster, the queen hen herself, is a little pissed off, right?
Nobody's happy up in the Cuse area right now.
I bet. You know what? There's redemption, though. There's redemption coming this week, I'm sure. So we have the Rebel.
What's
going on,
up?
Rebel?
Hey, man, same thing. Have Little Makers.
I didn't ask what
Chicken
you're
back.
drinking, man.
Well, I'm just telling you beforehand.
I mean, everyone already knew. All right.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Ripper the Predictor.
What's up,
Man
boss?
that owns the Ripper Report gets the most views on our Substack.
The value of the Ripper Report is
is going up every day.
probably not at all.
But the value the readers get goes up
Oh,
every time.
I mean, that's just, you can't put a number on that.
We got that.
I can for you,
I
though.
was gonna say I read it weekly.
Yes, very nice. Thank
And
you.
so do I. I just don't click on the links because I didn't even realize that they were there.
Yeah, you got the JT Tui Maloau link for the highlights against Penn State.
Which
Pretty
might
awesome.
be the same exact video that I pulled
I hope so.
from
I
this
hope
thing.
so.
You'll listen to it. You'll be like, oh, that's exactly what I had.
I'm drinking pumpkin spice, but I think we just
I didn't
got
ask
that
you
one.
what you're drinking, Ripper.
But you're gonna.
What are you drinking, Ripper?
We
Well,
kicked the
I'm
keg.
finishing pumpkin spice, but we tapped the keg, so then I gotta move on to probably, I don't know, something else. Yeah.
Gotcha. We got Who's Your Daddy not wearing the shirt this week, I see.
No, I didn't wear the shirt. Still in the laundry, probably. Drinking the pumpkin spice legal remedy. This is a shirt from my high school where I was principal.
Oh.
Every email to my staff, I addressed the top, Miamisburg Finest.
Miamisburg's finest.
And this was a Craigism.
It's a Craigism.
I made these when I retired. I had a bunch of sayings I used.
That might or might not be his real name. We're not sure because we all go by nicknames here. We're going to stick with Who's Your Daddy.
Who's Your Daddy's over now.
Who's Your Daddyism? We'll call it that.
Ooh, I like.
Cheeks! Can't even drink out of a glass mug, but your ear to make sure that you are throwing in the best commentary, especially on NFL football. We got some NFL football for you. What are you drinking?
Can't wait. The kicked keg.
Kicked keg.
Yeah,
Okay.
but there might be more for me if these guys didn't get it.
Yeah.
They drank my share, huh?
That's rude of them.
I know. So I'm switching to a Dunkin'.
Okay.
Cheeks
nice.
didn't go to kindergarten, must be, to learn how to share.
I actually did. I was given extra and I shared.
And this is your boy Hanger. I'm drinking a vodka tonic with lemon
Nobody asked.
because they don't have limes. At MJ's Bar and Grill, the best bar and grill in Northeast Columbia. Come on down and join us on Tuesdays. Hopefully we get free drinks for all that great marketing we do every so often, right?
Got free drinks tonight, because I'm buying.
Oh shit! Look at this guy!
Oh,
Flying around.
it's
Look
been
at
it's
that.
been a good trip.
No, I opened last
Rooster! All drinks on Rooster tonight. That's the rule.
Make sure everybody knows.
First round on him. Okay, good deal. We'll take that, man.
clarified that.
Yeah.
All right. College Football Playoff Committee met. They told us first what their picks were, and we're gonna actually let our listeners know what those picks are. Who was the number one team in the country according to the College Football Playoff Committee, which is the only poll that even matters at this point, right?
Yep.
Who was it? Ripper.
Tennessee, number one.
I think the Ripper Report kind of mentioned that, right?
Last couple weeks I had, yeah.
It's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah,
You're
it didn't
like
take much to make that leap, though.
you're like the sage of MJ's Bar and Grill over here.
3 weeks ago, we finished the show, and I said Tennessee would be your number one ranked team in the country.
And they are.
And they
it's
are.
freaking insane, isn't it? So, but you know what? This week is going to determine whether that holds true, isn't it? Because they are playing Georgia, and we'll be talking about that later. Number 2 ranked team in the country according to the College Football Playoff.
The Ohio State University.
Hey, I didn't call on you to say it, but
You're
that's-
looking at me.
Okay. So,
I'll be quiet from here on out.
are they where they're supposed to be, Ripper?
No.
What do you mean by that?
We're really struggling to run against a stout defense. I'm not crazy about our special teams. Offense is great. I mean, our passing game is amazing. Our defense is much improved from last year, getting some turnovers over the last 6 weeks, which is great. Some of our younger players are starting to shine, like we talked about already with JT Tuiamaloa. But honestly, I think Michigan is ahead of us right now. Georgia probably neck and neck, and I'll put Tennessee ahead of us. So I would put us probably 3 or 4 right now.
Rooster, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think we saw a little bit, especially first 3 quarters of the game against Penn State last week. I think that stout defense, that run game that the Ripper's talking about is spot on. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when they go up against a stouter defense such as the team up north.
You know, we got a few weeks to figure things
What,
out.
you don't say Michigan either?
I was just giving Ripper the courtesy since we're talking
All right,
about
so
his number 2 team.
Once we get to that week, yeah, it'll be a team up north, but I'll call them Michigan now.
All right, just so you can remain neutral
That's
on the
right.
show. You don't need to remain neutral on the show. I don't. I still say Florida Gators number 1, baby.
Clearly.
They're doing great.
Who's your daddy? You're an Ohio State fan.
Yes,
What
I am. Very
do
big
you
Ohio
think that
State
they
fan.
deserve the number 2 spot?
I'm not sure they deserve it. Right now, really, it's all meaningless. As we move through the month of November, we're going to find out who the cream is and rises to the top. And with Ohio State, of course, that last game of the year is going to be a big game, and to find out where they are with the team up north. But each and every week as we go through this, every team, no matter what conference, they're getting better.
Yeah.
So, each team's getting better. So by November 20th, I think we'll find out a lot of answers.
I mean, we say that, but it was only 2 weeks ago that Michigan played against Penn State and put a manhandling on Penn State. And then we see Ohio State going to Penn State and see them struggle a little bit until about halfway through the 3rd quarter. So
halfway through the 4th quarter.
There you go. So
yeah.
I think there's some work to be done there by the Buckeyes. Number 2, 2, 3, 4, like you said, it's all meaningless at this point. I think they got a couple more wins against ranked teams, but I think we're really gonna find out in 2 weeks.
I don't think that Ohio State deserves to be where they're at either. I look at their schedule. I'm looking at the domination that Michigan has over the teams that they play versus the domination that Ohio State does not necessarily have.
All right, so I have to counter that because that's erroneous.
I think we flip Ohio State 5.
Like the look test, I think Michigan looks better because of their running attack and their ability to stop the running attack. But when you look at strength of record, which clearly matters to the playoff committee, Ohio State's got the 2nd best strength of record, and I don't know where Michigan's at. Michigan,
Ohio State did play Notre Dame, so that adds a little bit to their strength of record.
It does. But also, Ohio State's the only team in the country that's won every game by double digits.
I should hope so.
So they're
all right. So we're gonna talk about Alabama now. I mean, not Alabama, Auburn.
The number 3 team in the country, according to the College Football Playoff Committee. Well, who is that?
I'll give it out here. It's Georgia, where my daughter's going to school. I think Georgia's got a lot to prove. They really haven't been tested too hard yet. I think we're gonna. I mean, what's their toughest game? Their toughest game of the season has been what?
Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri, Florida, Gamecocks. We're not talking about a tough schedule here. And even in some of their, I would say, easier contests, they haven't shown the dominance that other teams in the nation, such as Tennessee and Ohio State and Michigan, have shown. So I think they got a lot to prove. Everybody knows that they've got a great defense, but this weekend
they better wake up.
They better do something different.
I mean, they got a big challenge this weekend. It's the biggest challenge that they'll have all season, obviously, and they got to show something. But you know what? Whoever wins that game will be the number 1 team. Well, yeah. Oh, wow, that's a rough one right there, my man.
Watch out
for sure. But you
jackets.
just heard him. It's my boy Chopper coming in strong.
Hey there.
What are you drinking, Chopper?
Son of a peach.
Son of a. We're not allowed to curse on this show.
It is delicious.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah, that is some good beer, isn't it?
World Series?
I like that. Yeah.
The World Series.
All right. Number 4. We're not watching it. What are you talking about, the World Series?
They don't have the World Series on any of the screens.
Well, this is a baseball bar. This is a football bar. I'm just kidding. They'll probably get it on. So, because it is the Phillies and the Astros, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, big game,
Aaron's
man.
restart.
We need Cheeks to keep us on task here. Come on
Yeah,
now.
you keep us on task here. Number 4 team in the country. This is very disputable, if you ask me. This
It's stupid.
This is a knife in the
All right.
heart.
It's calculated.
Who is it, Rebel?
Clemson.
Yeah.
Clemson.
When you talk about those top 4 teams, how many of those top 4 teams are undefeated at the end of the season? Out of the current top 4 right now.
Well,
I'm
2,
going
yeah,
with 1.
yeah. Clemson will be undefeated. Now they do have a potential. Yeah, one of those teams. Yeah, Tennessee definitely, or Georgia.
Undefeated.
So he's starting to feed into my chaos theory.
Oh, okay. All right, so Clemson honestly has 3 current top 25 teams that they've beaten this season, whereas nobody else stacks higher than that. So Clemson might be the best team of that top 4.
No.
What are you drinking?
I'm just saying, statistically.
I'm just saying you're still drunk from Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, I did take in a lot of alcohol from Thursday
The
until
entire
last
weekend.
night. So
I mean, sure they're ranked teams, and I'll even say the Syracuse team. I mean, we saw it against Notre Dame last week with Syracuse. They're just an undersized, scrappy team. They play good. They play with heart. They play. They got a couple skilled players, but when it comes right down to it, you got 2 and 3 star players playing against 4 and 5 star players. The offensive line from Notre Dame last week outweighed the Syracuse defensive line by 44 pounds. Okay, so when you're playing, when you're matching apples to oranges here, I don't think what we're going to see is
Tigers to oranges.
Tigers to oranges in this one.
That's
The unfortunate part about this is Clemson doesn't have anybody else to play.
Well, they play Notre Dame.
They do.
So
and
what are your
that's
thoughts there?
I think it's strength on strength, but I think Notre Dame has shown that they can't win the big game with a new coach this year, and they're not going to do it.
they still.
You can still get them.
Yeah, it's just.
Always a good game.
And
no-
also, they're
no one
looking at
thinks they-
potentially North Carolina in an ACC
They won't get
championship
they won't get
game.
pushed again. Well, I think this weekend we'll find out. But if they get past this weekend, North Carolina will push them offensively. It's just a matter of can they score with them. That's what will be determined that game.
Well, it'll be another Wake Forest type game. Just be a shootout, and Clemson end up winning that one and just having the final possession, the final stop.
You think Notre Dame has the ability to do a shootout with Clemson on this?
No. I'm talking about North Carolina.
Oh,
If they
okay.
made the ACC championship game.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
honestly, I'll hold it to a later segment, but I've got some 2 cents on that game.
Yeah. So we did have Michigan coming in at number 5. Y'all know my thoughts on that. I just expressed it. Maybe we should be flipping Ohio State and Michigan in this whole scenario.
There's one way to flip it, right? On the field.
There's one way, and that'll be at the end of the,
Which
end of the
is
season.
going to happen, right?
It's going to happen. That's true.
Look,
Now,
what I've basically said with this, we were discussing it before the show, and Ripper, as usual, disagrees with me, and I love it.
It's okay.
I
Doesn't
do.
mean I don't like it.
No, I love it. I love it. It makes for good conversation. Yeah, you got your stats, you got everything to go into these polls, but to me, they look ahead, and I don't want to say they have an agenda, but if they can justify making their life easier down the road, they're going to do it. You can't slam, like, for example, if you put Georgia at number 2, all right? You have Tennessee 1, Georgia 2. Whoever loses that game and then wins out, are you really going to take them out of the top 4 when they can say, my only loss to the number 1 ranked team in the country?
It'd be hard to.
Because you want to put an undefeated Clemson in, an undefeated TCU in.
Well,
but by doing
they
this,
did that with Alabama.
If it's, what do you mean?
Alabama's ranked 6th. Their only loss is to number 1.
But again, that's what I'm saying. If this starts playing out, Michigan, Ohio State play, Georgia, Tennessee play, Alabama wins the SEC championship game. They can still play their way in. But I'm saying though, if you pack these in there, say you put Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, and then they play, are you really going to take whoever's 3 if they lose to number 2 and bump them out? I mean, you start making this a little bit easier. Oh, you lost to number 3, not number 1. You can start. You're not going to take a team and drop them 5 spots when they lose to a team. Say it's a competitive game that was ahead of them. And again, it makes life easy on this as the dominoes fall to go, oh, okay, this is how we're going to play this. And again, I'm not saying that's their ulterior motive, no, but you can't tell me they're not looking at this going, okay, matchups down the road, how could this potentially play out to where, okay, I have a 1-loss Tennessee, 1-loss Georgia, 1-loss Alabama, undefeated Clemson, undefeated TCU, undefeated Ohio State. And you're going to put Clemson and TCU in over Tennessee and Georgia, or Tennessee and Alabama? I mean, you can't.
But last season they did it for Cincinnati over a 1-loss.
But that's because of the way the rules were put in. If a group of 5 school is ranked high enough, they get put into this thing. They had to do it based off the way it was drawn
They'll go
up.
with the SEC champion and whoever wins the
Yes, they do.
No. So
Pick another
last
team.
year, I mean, the playoffs They were in the top 4. There was no exception to being whatever conference they were in. They were in the top 4.
I get that, but what I'm trying to say is by a Group of 5 school, by what they do, they give them consideration if their schedule is there. It's written in, they kind of have to do
They
that.
had a pretty tough schedule for...
No, I agree.
Yeah, like last year, I think Memphis was ranked and they beat them. There was a team down
Notre Dame.
But to your
ranked,
point,
beat,
but if you want to digress and look at this year, was Cincinnati one of the best 4 teams in the country? No. But because they were sitting there, they did. But I think this year, to me, the discrepancy is much greater.
But you get an undefeated TCU has clearly a stronger schedule than Cincinnati did last year.
No, I don't disagree with that. But I feel like you take Georgia, if their only loss is to Alabama in an SEC championship game. Again, you say, okay, compare there. It's the discrepancy is way more in Georgia's favor at that point. But again, as we discussed last week over here with Who's Your Daddy, in my opinion, when this shakes out, the 4 best teams in the country are not going to be playing for it all.
Exactly.
They're not.
And I do believe that Georgia, Tennessee, whoever loses, they're not going to be in the top 4 next week.
Whoever loses will be number 5.
Yeah, they'll be probably number 5.
And Michigan, because Michigan will jump in.
Well, I will tell you this:
that's why this really doesn't count.
If Tennessee at number 1 loses, and they drop them 5 spots, that's unprecedented. They've never done that when they are playing another top 5 team. That will be a first time ever if they drop them that far.
No, Georgia bumps to number 1, and then Tennessee drops to number 4 probably.
That's what I'm saying.
I think for the playoffs, they're out. You got a Michigan that jumps in. You
we'll
got
know
a TCU
next
that may
Tuesday
jump
or
in.
next show.
But you know what it is?
Or if Alabama
let them
beats
play the
LSU.
games, and this is why it goes. And as we've said before, the beauty of them explaining this stuff, and this conversation goes away. It's easier to argue 10, 11, 12, 13 than it is 3, 4, 5, 6. That's an easier conversation to have once they expand the playoffs.
It's so crazy right now.
That's why they have a committee that they pay a lot of money to figure this stuff out every week.
I think, as Who's Your Daddy said, you still got a lot of football left to play. So really, what
making
we're
a lot of
talking about
assumptions.
A
lot of things change.
A lot of things change, and certainly so. It's going to play out.
Working things out.
Even if Tennessee falls to number 5, there's still a lot of football to be played. You got that Ohio State Michigan game. You got a couple other games out there that you just don't know on how they're going to go, and who knows? Maybe a 2-loss team gets in.
No, that's not.
LSU.
You're crazy,
LSU's
man.
prime for that,
I
aren't
was
they?
going to say, you're rooting for
They
LSU
went out.
now?
Like that would totally wreck everything.
They could win.
I don't know, man.
If LSU wins out and they win the SEC championship, because that'd be two
It'd be
loss
hard for
Alabama.
them not, and they're already at 10.
I think LSU has the potential to do it. Like they're not a bad team right now. They're playing good football.
They'll find out this weekend.
Yeah, Auburn could have done that in 2017 had we beaten Georgia in the
And they got beat by Florida State, right?
We would have been 2 losses in the playoff. We would have been the first team, but we lost to Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. There's
All right,
a lot.
moving right along.
Are you trying to transition us?
That's a Hoosier transition.
The Hoosier that's a Hoosierism.
The Hoosierism, there you go.
Hoosier daddyism.
Hoosier daddyism. All right. So, let's talk Heisman, okay? We're the Ripper Report had it in there. You had 3 people that you talked about: Hendon Hooker, Blake Corum, C.J. Stroud, in that order, right? We floated names in the past like Will Levis, who by all accounts is not on the Heisman conversation at this point.
Done.
Others who are not beginning the season that we talked about at the beginning of the season are not in that conversation now easily. But there are people that are in the conversation now, like Hendon Hooker. Even Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett is somebody that people talked about as a possible Heisman candidate as well. So who are we overlooking right now? Give me some overlooked people in this Heisman conversation.
You let them run the table and win the ACC, Drake May will be all in this conversation because statistically speaking, he is right there with Hooker. He's right there with Stroud. He's right there. He's right there with them. If they run the table with their only loss being against an early Notre Dame team who people thought were better, he gets in this conversation. Now, when he coming in late, the Heisman conversations never fares well for people. So I think, does he get on the stage, he doesn't win it. But you want to see who is the sleeper in this? Drake May.
And you totally took my guy, because that's who I was going to talk about, man. He's third third in passing right now, 6th in
North Carolina.
completions, tied with C.J. Stroud for number 1 in passing touchdowns. Definitely somebody who should be in that conversation. So my man Ripper has a little bit of conversation going on in this Heisman race as well. What you got, man?
TCU is what, 8-0 right now?
TCU's 8-0 right now.
They continue to win. Didn't even start the opening season game. Took over, I think, in week 2, Max Duggan. He's got like 22 touchdowns, maybe 3 interceptions, leading his team offensively, 2 interceptions. I mean, he's got. I mean, if they make it to the playoffs, if they go undefeated, he's going to be in New York.
Yeah.
They're last in the conference preseason.
Yeah,
right now he's 20th in the country for completion yards. But to Ripper's point, he's got the out of the top 20, he's got the lowest attempts in the country. So he's ripping it up. 22 touchdowns or 21 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions.
And when he throws the ball, he makes it count.
You know it.
Yeah, and you know TCU over the next 4 weeks, they're going to put up a lot of points. There's going to be a lot of touchdowns thrown. There's going to be a lot of yards on that team because that's what they do, right? It's not like their
defense sucks.
Yeah,
honestly.
but it's a shootout every game they play, for sure.
Big 12 football.
Yeah, it's definitely Big 12.
Well, I mean, I digress for a second. You know what I feel really sorry for are these teams that are not good, like such as a Northwestern now, because now the playoffs are out. They're not going to let their foot off the gas because they got to get some style points. And this thing, God rest your soul, say a prayer for at this point.
And say a prayer for say a prayer for Ohio State this weekend playing Northwestern.
That's what I'm saying, though. Northwestern,
Don't worry.
Ohio State may beat them by 60.
All right, you hear my female friend here, Cheeks.
Cheeks, let
clapping.
it out.
What just happened, Cheeks?
The Phillies gotta run.
Two.
Oh, I can't see from
Two-run
here.
home run. Nice. All right.
I can see celebration, so I knew we got one.
So
yeah,
we're up
2-0.
We officially have the World Series on, and we're gonna talk to y'all about it live. Not really.
Of course it's
I wish I liked baseball more.
Cheeks
That
at the
would
bar
be-
talking baseball.
Cheeks at the We're gonna start a spin-off podcast for Cheeks, talking about the Phillies. So, any other dark horse Heisman candidates that we should be talking about right now? Then
go ahead.
I mean, does anybody else have one?
I don't have any more.
I was going to piggyback on one of your dark horses.
All right,
I
so
just have the predictables.
all right, I'll go ahead. I'll let you go.
I mean, the leading rusher in the country is still Chase Young from Illinois, and he's got the highest rushing attempts. But the guy's a beast. He's up by 200 yards on the rest of the country. You look at that offense; they're scoring points. They've only got one loss. Great win last week. You never this Illinois team. You know they're probably not going to beat a Ohio State or Michigan State or Michigan, excuse me. But I think if we see them later on down the road with a decent record, with a running back that's averaging 34 carries per game, almost 180 yards per game, he's got to be in the conversation.
But it's going to take a really tough, deep defense to continue to get pounded like that every single week, every single play, and win
Was
that
that
game.
like?
They beat Iowa 9-6.
Yeah,
But-
but Iowa has a good
They still
defense.
go out.
But
Yeah.
like Drake May, if they win the West and then pull a rabbit out of the hat and were to upset
Then
you know,
he's in the
Michigan or Ohio
conversation.
State, all of a sudden, again, he comes in late. Does he probably win it? But man, he gets on the stage and say he plays in the championship game against Ohio State and runs for 150 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, at that point, then I'm just saying, at that point, you can't not put him on the stage.
And I said Chase Young. It's Chase Brown. Excuse me.
Yeah, so you cannot say like Hendon Hooker, C.J. Stroud, like those are the two.
Well, let's not forget about Bryce Young at Alabama. I mean, if Alabama continues to win out, he's going to be there.
He'll be there. He won't win just because.
He'll have the conversation, but he's not standing out among the peers like he did last season.
Guys, it's one of those things. The Heisman is very subjective, unfortunately. I mean, they look at numbers, but they look at style points. They look at visually when you watch somebody on the field, and he just does not look as head and shoulders above the field the way he did last year. Yeah, I mean, it's a two-horse race right now unless they do something to screw it up. I mean, it really is.
I mean,
but
he kept them in that game against Tennessee, I thought.
Oh yeah.
So
Move us on. Move us
Let's
on.
go.
Who's your daddy is?
Let's go next. Move on. Let's go. Next.
You got to keep
We've
the
been-
show
we've
on
been
the
that
road,
Heisman-
That was a
We've been
smooth
on the
transition.
Heisman thing way too
We
long.
get him. Yeah, that's what I like.
Blake Corum of Michigan is a sleeper. Move
All
on.
right.
Move on.
There we go.
Okay.
All right,
Can't believe I said that.
We talked a little bit about the Notre Dame Clemson game. I mean, possible upset there. Notre Dame's playing some pretty good football right now.
That's my pick. Notre Dame over
2 wins in a row in this season. They've had 2 top 25 wins. I think that they have a chance to go into Clemson and host Clemson and win that game. That's true. Anyone have any thoughts on that? Who's your daddy? Go.
I'm not a Clemson fan. I'm not a Notre Dame fan. But I hope Notre Dame wins. I think they'll beat them at South Bend. I really do.
It's a 7:30 game to boot, so going in there at night adds a little extra to it. The thing with Notre Dame, if you've watched the last couple of weeks, it's if they get a lead, it's like it's a confidence builder with a young team, and they just play better. And I mean, that was the worst thing that happened to Syracuse. That pick 6, first play of the game, that game was done because all of a sudden that defense's energy level went up 200%. And so, based off what Clemson has done this year, who plays like dog crap in the first half, if Notre Dame jumps on them, that game's over.
Now, the only thing I'll say to that is DJ Alphabet, he won't be starting this game. I don't think he'll be playing this game. And it's a different Clemson team with that.
Really?
No, he's playing. He's starting this game. It's been stated. Yes.
Uiagalele.
Uiagalele.
You're good with those names.
Notre Dame wins this game. Clemson leaves the top 4 this week. They don't get back in.
Notre Dame's got
rating was like a Chick-fil-A rating. Is gone by Sunday.
With voting week coming up next week, I second that.
Yeah.
Now Notre Dame is notorious at failing.
Correct.
In these big games. But, I mean, that's when they are in the top 10 as well, that they screw those games up, right? They have a lot to play for right now. They want to get their name recognition back. They have a lot to prove, right? Marcus Freeman, brand new coach, has a lot to prove. I mean, people were calling for his head when they had 3 losses, but the last 2 weeks they won. So now they're not calling for his head.
But you beat a so-called good Clemson team, and suddenly things change.
Suddenly,
that changes this week.
They'll be ranked the following week if they win.
They'll be ranked in the top 10.
That's true.
From what you read, the players really like this coach, and I feel like at this point they are motivated to play for him so that they want to keep him. They don't want to run him out of town in 2 years because they like him.
Okay, Hanger, let's move right on.
All right. Good
It's a
one.
podcast where nobody talks. I love it.
You can talk all you want, man. You just gotta put your foot down and your fist down, all right?
Fair enough.
All right. Kansas State, number 13 against Texas. Now, this is a potential upset game as well. I'm going to let my man Ripper the Predictor have this conversation because this is your team. These are your boys. These are the ones you called for the top 4.
Yeah, I did. Preseason, they were one of my my playoff picks. Had some injuries at the quarterback position and lost to Tulane as well. So those two kind of things took them out of the playoff race. I believe this game is in Manhattan. However, the Longhorns have Quinn Ewers coming in. I love Manhattan. I love K-State. I love the Wildcats. Unfortunately, I think Quinn Ewers is going to have a big game.
Wow. Bold prediction.
But
after that big game last week,
Kansas State's got a history of knocking off a higher-ranked Texas team when they come to Manhattan. Texas isn't ranked. I'm going with the Longhorns.
You're going with the Longhorns on this, even after they beat Oklahoma State 48 to nothing last week.
Yeah.
I think Oklahoma State was ranked.
If Texas was ranked,
8 or 9.
Yeah, if Texas was ranked in the top 5, I'd pick K-State.
what's the line on that game?
2.5 Texas.
Yeah, Texas is favored in that game.
People in the desert know something.
Pretty much a pick 'em, right?
Man,
I don't know.
Your stats person got you your stats pretty quick.
I just don't see Texas going into Manhattan and winning the game against a team that is on fire. 48 to nothing against Oklahoma State, man. That just blows my mind.
It's one of those things. How many times have you seen a team pull a game like that and come out the next week flat and lay an egg? Just, I don't know if it's arrogance. I don't know if it's complacency. Oh, well, we can just walk on the field and we'll run up points. This game is very uninteresting to me this week, to be honest.
Well, my man Chopper's over here falling asleep. So
I mean, I actually do.
I love K-State.
I actually do in this game as well. But I think Texas again. They're trying to get to a New Year's Day bowl, and they're a little underproven right now. I feel like Texas in a close one wins by a field goal.
I mean, that's what they're saying, right?
One thing to think about, so K-State's quarterback, he's the backup quarterback. Last 2 games, there wasn't a whole lot of film on him. Now they got 2.5 games to watch him, so they can actually plan an entire week against him. If they can stop Deuce Vaughn, they'll have a plan defensively. Texas defense is a lot better than Oklahoma State's.
Deuce is the real deal. I'm going to go against a lot of you. I believe K-State's going to pull it out at home.
I think they're going to as well.
And that second string quarterback's about 6'5".
Why is it always about height with you?
Well, he doesn't get.
He's a basketball coach. What do you expect?
Hey, he doesn't get passes batted down at the line of scrimmage like Baker Mayfield used to.
Ohio State, number 2. Hold on, what are they now? Number 3?
Number 2.
They're number 2. Ohio State versus Northwestern. Big upset alert on this one.
No way.
Northwestern
Ohio
1-7.
We might see the Ohio State offense for the first quarter.
What's going to happen?
What's the meme going around now? Oh, we're going to win by 50. They might win by 60.
Yeah.
it's
City.
bad.
City.
All right, y'all had your Ohio State conversation. We'll move on then.
Yeah, it's bad.
Let's talk Florida football, baby. Just kidding.
Thank God.
Moving on. Moving on.
Let's move it on now, Hank.
Moving on now.
They
Okay.
play football in Florida?
We talked about them all.
Yeah, we're actually looking forward to.
How's your soccer team?
We're looking forward to basketball season at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, just wait till we get to basketball season, said the Auburn guy.
Hey, I'm good with this.
Number 15, LSU going in
Oh, yeah.
to Alabama, or is it at Alabama? Or is that
LSU.
It's at LSU.
That
Okay.
3:30 game at LSU.
I mean, really, game of the week 1B, I think.
I think so too.
Oh yeah, this is huge. This determines 2 programs on where they're going to be at the end of the season.
Yeah, this
for sure.
determines the SEC West, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And can LSU pull it off? What do they got to do? What has to happen for LSU to win this game?
You forgot all about Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, yeah, I mean that's
I
true.
didn't forget about them.
So did the committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have 1 loss.
What are they at, 8?
They're no Alabama for sure.
I feel like at this point, this is where Nick Saban earns his money. He is a guy that when his team takes a loss, they play like a wounded dog the rest of the year. And I feel like he's a better coach than Brian Kelly. I do. And at this point, then he will scheme them, and they will win this ball game going into LSU because they've got their eye on a bigger prize. You know, they're kind of like teams in the past that, you know, you take a lot of teams that had a lot of hype and they lose a game and it crushes their season. He's like, okay, well, we still got a lot of games to play, and he's good at keeping the troops rallied around that, and he's good at keeping the eye on the ball. They win the game. They win the game. They've got their eye on SEC championship game and trying to redeem themselves to get into that top 4 because that's their only avenue to get there.
I agree with that. One of the scariest teams you can play is a 1-loss Alabama team.
So Alabama, you think is definitely going to win this game?
They're going to win this game, and the other thing you go back to, again, you don't look back weeks in the past, but all I know is this. Alabama took our number 1 ranked team in the country, and you could argue over a questionable pass interference call on the goal line as to whether things are a lot different right now, and that same team went into Baton Rouge and beat them like a stepchild. So all I'm telling you is this: Alabama wins this ball game.
Ripper, what you got?
Night game in Death Valley. Go Tigers.
Yeah.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Cheeks, your thoughts?
I think that, first of all, LSU's at home, and they are so dominant at home. How can you argue that?
Tennessee beat them by like 35 at home.
They had a bad day. They had one bad day. But the really cool thing about this is if Alabama ends up beating them, there's going to be some awesome memes about Nick Saban themselves.
There's going to be some fun stuff going on.
So there's going to be good stuff no matter what.
Check out Guys in the Bar Talking Sports Substack for those memes every Friday. Rooster, your thoughts on LSU, Alabama?
Yeah, I got to go with the coaches on this one, and I think Nick Saban. If we watched anybody beat up a Chip Kelly Notre Dame team, it's the Alabama Nick Saban teams.
Nice call. Nice call.
I'm going to say coaches win it. Saban's going to pull this one out. It's not going to be a whooping, but I think Alabama goes in, win by 10.
biggest game of the season.
I'm wondering if we should put some beers on that.
I don't know. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I owed some beers last week because I said Tennessee was going to whip Kentucky, and here I am.
That's true. All right, the biggest.
I picked Kentucky. I owe a beer.
Oh, I picked Kentucky too.
All right.
Yeah, we owe some beers later. We got to settle that out.
I don't know who went with what, so we'll talk about that after the show.
I think it was our side.
We gotta move on to the biggest game of the decade, maybe. I don't know. I mean, this is huge, right?
We'll go with week.
The
biggest
week.
game of the week.
It feels like the biggest game of the decade because you've got a team that has been so starved for success that their fan base, they're on crack
They're
cocaine
rabid.
right now. I mean, they are like a rabid
fan
dog
base.
wanting to bite anybody that's there.
When the famous Landon calls it, I gotta go.
Hey,
with
man, I get it, brother.
But I don't know. This is my thoughts on this game, right?
Disclaimer to Tennessee fans: you're not on crack cocaine.
Yes. But they actually,
Like Spence.
they are. They're starved for success, right? And Tennessee, every single player on that team has not been in this limelight before. Every player on the Georgia team has been on this limelight before.
Not the freshmen, no.
Not the freshmen, but yeah.
And
But
where
they're
they-
not the ones
where are
who
they
started
playing
the
at?
game. Where are they playing
Athens.
at? They're playing in Athens.
3:30.
So it's a different environment for Georgia versus Tennessee. The players themselves. Like, this is a huge game, big. I mean, all eyes are on this game. In Georgia, they've been there before. Tennessee has not. Nobody's been there before. So I mean, last season they barely had a winning record, right?
7-6.
Yeah. So it's a different experience for these teams. Georgia knows what they're doing. They're going to win this game for sure.
You are 100% correct, but Georgia has not been there yet this year. They have not been in this type of game yet this year. Tennessee's done it numerous times at this point. And, I mean, my thing of this is I've been saying all along, I said this is where Tennessee stumps their toe. I said Georgia by 3. I did a lot of reading before I came up here because I was waiting at a soccer practice for an hour and a half. And you just look at it across the board, week to week, of what growth you've occurred, what you've seen happen. I legitimately at this table am changing my pick that I said all week. Tennessee wins this ball game and they win it by 3.
Yeah.
I think the Alabama game gave them the chops to go into Athens and win this game.
I mean, they've been on the limelight before with that Alabama game, right?
Correct.
But I
think it would. It's honestly, I think being on the road is going to put them more concentrated than if they were playing at home. We're like, oh, come in here and our fans are here. We beat Alabama here, but they know what they're walking into, and this is a business trip, and they're going to walk in there, and it's going to be a dogfight, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And
Tennessee's going to be more serious about Georgia than Georgia is going to be about Tennessee right now.
I think both teams are just going to
Tennessee
be.
wins this game.
I think both teams are going to be just as serious going into this game. Both coaches are going to be on their teams, making sure that they are prim, prime, and ready to go. It comes down to the
Now,
stage.
they both can be very serious, but I think that Tennessee is going to be a little more eyes on the prize.
Ripper.
Didn't Georgia just lose like their best defender for the year? Nolan Smith, is that his name?
torn pec muscle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he's out for
year.
the season. I think
we've seen that Georgia has the depth on defense
True,
to cover that.
but I believe he was their best defensive player last year as well.
I think we know that Georgia has depth after last year.
True, but when you take away your best player and you're going against the best offense in the country,
yeah,
I've picked against Tennessee twice this year. I'm not doing it again.
Rooster, thoughts?
I'm with you.
Here's the difference for me. If you look at how the Alabama defense ran their scheme, they ran one free safety. They had 7 people in the box. Georgia does not need to do that. They are very comfortable with stopping any run game in the country with 6 people in the box. They're going to have 5 back, 2 deep. If they didn't learn their lesson against Alabama, shame on them, but I think they have. I don't think you're going to see the deep passes. You take away the 3 deep passes that Tennessee had, Tennessee loses that game by 17 points. So I think what Georgia's going to do is they're going to keep the game in front of them, take away Tennessee's speed. They're going to make Georgia do everything in the first 8 yards, and I think it's going to slow the game down. And I think Georgia wins this game in a nail biter. I'm going to say Georgia 27, Tennessee 24.
That was my original pick.
Wow, that low of a scoring game, huh?
I like it though.
I think we get a lot of points out of this game, but
I think so too.
If it turns into a shootout, Tennessee wins.
I do think it's offensive. Yeah.
Chopper, closing remarks on this game.
No, I just said I'm going with Tennessee. Tennessee, I think, comes in a little more prepared, in my opinion.
Yes!
Takes down Georgia. And I'm with Ripper. I've picked against Tennessee twice, and every time I've done it, I've been wrong. So I'm going with Tennessee. I like what I see. I like what I see on the field.
Well, someone made a comment to me. They hope that you did that because you've been wrong. Somebody said, please tell Chopper to pick Tennessee. Pick Georgia. He said, no, tell him to pick Georgia.
I'll even sing Rocky.
So now that they're picking Tennessee,
they're mad. Yeah,
Georgia's gonna win this game. And Chopper picked Tennessee.
Please don't.
It's over with. All right, second to last section of the show is a what the fuck.
We gotta make them quick.
No, we don't.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
We do have last call coming up soon, so let's go with this. I was looking. We'll start with mine.
Do it.
So, starters for Florida, last game against Georgia. I'm looking at the defense, because defense goes out first. No seniors on defense. And I was like, what the fuck?
Developing for next year.
And then the offense comes out on the field, and I'm like, sophomore, junior, freshman, sophomore, junior. Holy crap, no seniors on the offense. And I was like, what the fuck? We're going to be good next year, baby. Hopefully.
Or 2 years.
Next year. I'm a next yearism right now. Okay?
Yeah, that's like 5 what the fuzz for you in Florida.
I know, but hey, whatever.
Gators
number 1, baby.
This is his outlet for his pain this year. I can appreciate it.
That's right. All right, Rooster, give me a what the fuck.
Look, I wasn't here last week to say it, but the last 2 weeks, Syracuse goes 0-2 the last 2 weeks, and who are they not utilizing? One of the best running backs in the entire country. Sean Tucker only had 5 carries against Clemson, but it was averaging almost 11 yards per carry.
Wow.
Coach Babers came off after the game and said, yep, we thought they had a good defensive scheme against them. We should have utilized them more. What do? They come out against Notre Dame last week. How many carries does he have? 12 carries. It's not going to win it. What the fuck, Dino?
What the fuck, Dino?
Cheeks, give me your what the fuck.
Well, I know this is going to be a shocker, but it's about the Eagles again.
Go for it. Bring it in, girl.
So I don't know if anybody saw the game on Sunday, but the head official made an attempted call with a penalty flag and actually ended up giving a touchdown to the Steelers, but it was the befuddling of his call that was primo. Delay of game, defense, number 55, for making a move that's not necessary, unlike football.
What the fuck?
What the fuck? But if anybody hasn't seen it, go pull the clip. It's worth it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Chopper, what the fuck?
All right, so I know we didn't talk about this game, but this Saturday night down in Stark Vegas, Mississippi, Mike Leach will take on the brand new coach of the Auburn Tigers, who is Cadillac Williams, head coach.
Hell of a running back.
Hey, I've got one prediction of that game.
What the fuck?
Hey, I got a prediction. Auburn runs the football.
Tank will be a happy man.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Come on, Rebel. You've been trying to do
No, I'm just like somebody. I'm actually following suit of Who's Your Daddy from a few weeks ago. So if you look at some racing this past weekend, man, it was fantastic. Okay, so you had Ross Chastain had to beat Denny Hamlin to get into the playoffs. The last lap, he's on the radio. If you don't like racing, listen. And then the other driver's response to this, he goes, "What do I need?" He said, "You got to get 2. You got to get in front of Hamlin. You got to get 2." He goes into the last turn at Martinsville, puts the foot on the gas, puts the car against the wall, and never lets off the gas. Tears the whole side of the car off, past Denny Hamlin by the bumper at the line to get into the championship race next week. The fastest lap of the entire race was 100 miles an hour. It was his last lap up against the wall. What the fuck?
Bring it to me.
I had the same what the fuck, but I got to back up.
What the fuck?
I will say his last lap was 2 seconds faster than the winner of the race.
Absolutely.
And he did beat Denny Hamlin out right at the line. He was 10th on the last lap and ended up finishing in fourth.
Yep. What's your backup?
The backup is the Michigan Wolverines Michigan State game in the tunnel. Going to the locker room.
Fuck?
What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Beat up 4 guys jumped
Yeah.
from Michigan State players.
All those players.
Michigan State jumped a Michigan player.
Yeah, what's the full story on that? I saw a video.
So they are going to be
4 of them were
charging these
suspended,
guys.
Yeah.
and then there's charges being made.
What the fuck? That was some.
Time to get another tunnel in Michigan.
No, you just got to have some
It's
etiquette
not the
there.
tunnel's fault, man.
No, if you look, the one guy that got really assaulted, and I'm not justifying this, he went way ahead and was all mingled into that bunch.
He was talking
Stand back
smack.
and let them go in with some grace. You just kick the crap
That's
out
where
of
the
them.
referees should step in.
Correct.
What the fuck? Ripper, give it to me. What the fuck?
All right, so Chopper, forgive me. All right, buddy.
Do it.
But you've been giving the Big Ten and the Big 12 hell all season.
Well, I have.
So I think you referred to him as Bo Picks.
No picks.
Yeah, but actually it's Bo Nix for Oregon.
Nice.
20 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions.
He's doing fantastic.
He actually has a higher completion percentage than C.J. Stroud,
Yes.
who is like number 2 in Heisman voting.
Hey.
So you guys were competitive last year with Bo Picks or Bo Nix, and have been for a few years. He leaves and your coach gets fired. What the fuck, Auburn?
What the fuck?
Yeah, I agree with you.
We're gonna talk some NFL We're talking some NFL for the final last call of
I can
the
do
show.
that. And it's 4-0 Phillies.
Who's going to the Super Bowl? We gotta be quick. Who's going to the Super Bowl? And I'll let you even give a quick explanation of why. Ripper.
Philly Buffalo. Why? They're the 2 most dominant teams in each conference. They have really, really athletic, capable quarterbacks who are also fairly accurate with the ball.
All right.
And they've got outstanding defenses.
Who's your daddy?
Quick, ditto.
All right, there we go.
That same thing that.
I was the
Jinx.
first person to call that the very first show, by the way.
Yes, you
You
were.
called that.
I did. I did say the Eagles were
Eagles
going
and
to lose to the
Buffalo?
Bills. So,
Okay.
yeah. But I'm sticking with it. I mean, I'm 7-0. I'm going for it.
Chopper.
Cowboys, Bills.
All right. That's, I mean. All right.
Hey, Dak, look good.
Rebel. Who you got?
I feel like with the Eagles, I go second time around playing teams second time. They learn their lessons. The Eagles are a very good team. I think they start stumping their toes a little bit in the back half of the season. Again, maybe I'm being a little bit of homer because I really like the guy.
No, I think he's
San Francisco, Buffalo, and I think
I'm gonna buy
Christian
one.
McCaffrey makes the difference.
No, I'm not buying him a beer.
Oh,
All right,
God.
Ian Rooster.
You
What
guys
you
are
got?
killing me.
I'm going to jump on the train here. Eagles and Buffalo is who I've got. Eagles look just too darn good. I mean, they are just picking apart their opponents on offense and defense right now. They look dominant. I think the only team that's going to beat that has a chance, I agree with you, San Francisco looks good right now. Seattle, don't forget, don't rule Seattle out.
And that makes no sense.
Geno Smith.
They got a guy that just puts the ball where it needs to be, does not make big mistakes. They're scrapping a little bit, but their defense is coming back. I can't wait to see Seattle play San Francisco again. I'll leave it at that, but I still think Buffalo, this is their year.
All right, and finally, mine. Y'all are gonna laugh at me. I'm gonna go out on a limb. Buccaneers, they are 3-5 right now.
Are you high?
They're 3-5 right now. They
He's
are
a Tom
second-
Brady fan, man. What are you talking about?
They're second in the NFC.
The Browns are
South,
3-5 right
okay?
now.
They're second in the NFC South. All they gotta do is win next week, and then Falcons
And the
lose
next
next week,
500, yeah.
and then they're tied, and then it goes on. They win the rest of their games. So it's gonna be the Buccaneers.
He even laughs at himself saying it. He even laughs saying it.
The Buccaneers and Buffalo Bills.
Oh my God.
All right, that is your Comedy Central for the week. Enjoy. Thank y'all for joining, guys. About Dragon Sports. We are out.
Undefeated.
Hey, I'm getting one of your drinks.
If you like the show and you want to help the guys grow the show, go ahead and go to your podcatcher and subscribe to the show. Then you could also write us a review and give us 5 stars. If you do that, it'll help us grow the show. You could also join our Facebook group, which allows you to have camaraderie with other sports fans all over the country. You might even get a free beer out of it. So go ahead and join that group as well. And then check out our Substack, which is Guys at the Bar Talking Sports.substack.com for weekly articles and the Ripper Report.